In the year 1774, the British governor of Massachusetts, General Thomas Gage, dissolved the provincial assembly and closed the port of Boston on orders of the British Parliament, who passed the Massachusetts Government Act, which was an effort designed to suppress dissent and restore order in Massachusetts. During this time, the first independent media of its kind, the Royal American Magazine, supported patriot and revolutionary sentiment in the colonies against the crown. Big contributors to this independent media outlet were the likes of John Hancock, Isaiah Thomas, and none other than Paul Revere. Paul Revere produced engravings with political themes in 1765 and on in support of the discordant cause before he was able to warn of the coming British troops to Lexington and Concord. So what would a modern-day Paul Revere do to wake up the people to the coming tyranny?
Sam, check out InfoWars.
I'm announcing our biggest contest ever. And we're looking for people who love freedom and who want to be all in the resistance to tyrants. So you say you want to fight the New World Order. Why, if you were on the radio, if you were Alex Jones, you'd really kick some globalist ass. Well, here's your chance. We're hiring not one, but 2 new reporters whose reports are going to be on the radio, whose reports are going to be on the nightly news, who will even anchor the show. If you're ready, here's your chance to step into my shoes, and I hope you surpass what I've done. Are you going to join the info war? Do you have what it takes? It's up to you. And I ask you to look in the mirror and ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? Once you unlock a mind, once you unlock somebody, then they can unlock their soul.
If you haven't heard, our rights are being taken away little by little, as all of us are distracted with sports, Dancing with the Stars, and Kim Kardashian.
I'm Kyle Phillips, and this is InfoWars. Today we're talking about the case of Trayvon Martin.
Welcome to the Nightly News. I'm your host, D. Lake. This is another of my reporter submissions to the Infowars.com reporter contest.
It looks as though we have discovered Metallica fans. We must record. Black, white, old, young, libertarians, conservatives, kind of mainline liberals, and waking up to false paradigms. So Luke, out of everything you've seen, from your point of view, what's been the most interesting, most moving in your own words?
I think just seeing everybody out here from all over the world coming here without any fear is just an amazing thing to see.
I was somebody who became politically active. I was a conservative. I considered myself a Republican for a long time. In the 2008 election, I actually voted for McCain. Through listening to political radio and getting so involved in meeting different politicians, I started looking for more information. I started looking at, alright, this is what the left says, this is what the right says. Here's what I still don't understand. Here's where I still need answers. These questions often led me to the same people, the same websites. They led me to people like David Icke. They led me to people like Alex Jones. and InfoWars.
I first heard about InfoWars when I was driving taxi. I'd driven all over the city. It came a point where no matter what kind of music you like, it was always the same bands that were on. So I started finding myself listening to talk radio.
I was listening to a lot of Alex Jones and alternative media websites. I found that, the Fox News and the MSNBC and especially CNN, I really thought that all those news outlets were a bunch of garbage.
When I saw the InfoWars reporter contest, my behind-the-scenes queen was very, very supportive of the idea of me trying to get in it and go for it. Much to my surprise, I managed to be one of the last handfuls of people that were still in it. And as such, I ended up, of course, meeting Kort, Kyle, D-Lake.
I first became a part of the MediaSpeaks.com through the last InfoWars reporter contest. I met up with these guys. They made some great videos, actually shared a lot of information that I didn't even know about, and inspired me to join the contest to start with. I would have never imagined a year ago that I'd be part of a news team promoting this message of truth. I never thought I'd meet like-minded individuals like I did. And it's these contests, it's like the reporter contest that they held last year, and this Operation Paul Revere contest that gives a huge opportunity to young folks to get out there and meet like-minded individuals and also wake people up at the same time.
So I started a website, themediaspeaks.wordpress.com, and then Alex Jones, one of the leading voices in the resistance, the leading voice, if you will, announced that he was going to have a video contest for reporters. He wanted you to go out there on the street and be a reporter.
2 winners, $10,000 in prizes, and a shot to be a reporter inside the Infowars.com command center.
We came together through the Infowars.com reporter contest. We were all putting out special reports. We were all trying to wake people up. We were all motivated to get interviews, to show how things really were, to give our personal perspectives. We all grew out of that contest, and we kept on making reports, and we formed up. We started doing Saturday hangouts. Kyle got us all logged on to the MediaSpeaks.com website, where we're cranking out videos and reports and basically just not stopping. Just keeping motivated and keeping our momentum up. And when this InfoWars Operation Paul Revere contest was announced, it was something that we were all stoked on, and I especially was like, this is our chance to really tell our story about how we all came together for one common cause, for the mission to inform people and wake people up, get people active. Thinking to myself that if other people see us, those reporter contestants, if they remember us, maybe not the guys who won, but the guys who just never stopped. That's why I have a lot of just really good, strong feelings for my team now. We're all motivated, and I can see it in these guys, and they bring out the best in me. I hope I bring out the best in them.
Do you have what it takes to be the next Info Warrior?
How's it going?
How you doing, man?
Nice to
Here,
meet
come
you.
on in, come on in. How you guys doing?
Christelle.
Hello.
And behind the camera is Nick. How's it going? Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Awesome.
You are tall.
Here at Oakland Airport, about to head out to Chicago. Very excited to meet the news team for the first time for Infowars.com, the MediaSpeaks.com, the Paul Revere contest.
think this is the van. The creepy van. Do you like? Hey. My crew, it's Kort. What's up, bud? All right, dude.
You guys are out here. Sam, you've driven in, you guys flew in from California. Now what are we gonna do? How are we gonna take this time that we have together to become Paul Revere's? What's the plan, guys?
Well, you know, Chicago, it's a great place to start because so much corruption comes out of Chicago. I mean, just look at the gun control measures. I mean, it's where our current president's from. It's has the highest murder rate in this country.
Chicago is the perfect place for us to head off this competition. Gives us a chance to show people corruption at its finest. We can get in there, we can get some shots, we can show the streetlight cameras, we can show how many.
I mean, aren't we going to be filmed a lot while we're there? I mean, all
absolutely.
The street cameras. I mean, there's going to be a lot of eyes on us.
So,
what about the police?
What is up with these laws? I mean, can't you just film? I mean, isn't that the essence of media, is being able to film in public, right?
Illinois has a law called the Illinois Eavesdropping Act. And this law makes it so that if you film anybody in public without their permission, that is technically a felony. Now, they've overturned...
Are we wiretapping anymore? What are you talking about?
A felony.
It's a felony. They consider it eavesdropping because you're recording somebody without their permission. There is a part of this law that says you can't film police. They've said that it's unconstitutional, so they can't prosecute anybody on it, but it's still there, and police can still make arrests on it. And that gives them what they need to delete your footage.
Well, in that right there, what you just said, I mean, wouldn't the people at the top in the courts want to know what the police were doing and want them to be filmed if they were perhaps being excessive with their power? I mean, that's just saying, that's just admitting the corruption right there.
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
and that's why the courts have found that part of the law unconstitutional, and they have said that they cannot prosecute. No court will find you guilty of recording a police officer, but the police officer can make the arrest. You're in the squad car, you're taken in process, and when you get your camera back, it's not going to have footage on it.
That won't make for a fun time.
We have to be very, very careful when we are in Chicago. We don't want to lose our footage. We don't want to have a confrontation. So we're going to have to be a little bit covert with the cameras.
So this is guerrilla journalism at its best then, guys, right?
Chicago, and we're going to run into some bully cop who's going to see us with cameras and just want to make an example out of us and slap us with some felony.
That's part of spreading the message and awakening people to the tyranny out there. So,
all right, well, we're here. We're here with Sam too. We're live and in person. We're hitting the city streets, and we're going to talk to some people and really see what's going on out there, huh?
If anybody asks me about anything with the camera, I'm just going to politely reiterate that there is not an expectation of privacy in a public place. If somebody wants to film all this going on, they can do it. So I'm going to politely say that in a non-threatening way if I'm asked by law enforcement.
We go to this one? Yes.
have to be protected, though. You know, we have to protect ourselves. He's trying to change the Constitution. He's trying to change the Constitution. That's what he's doing.
You notice us handing out stickers in there. What encouraged you to come up to us, sir?
Well, honestly, I was curious when I saw you guys walk in, and as a group, and I kind of was trying to look at the buttons and see what it was. I went online and tried to figure out what it was, and I couldn't find an exact match. So I said, "Oh, I'm curious what they're all about." And so I said, "It's always nice to meet people and discover their story, and I bet it's interesting." And it was. So
great. Now, this whole contest is about Paul Revere. Him. Trying to call people to arms. But we're doing that with information. We're out here trying to give people these bits of information, these links, so that they can do the research themselves. What do you think the essence of Paul Revere should be today? How could people be like him today to inform people?
How can people be like him? Well, I think going back to the Tipping Point book that I referenced, where he describes Paul Revere as being a connector who knows who to get information to, not just to everybody, but if time is of the essence, if I only have a limited amount of time to get it out, I need to get it to A and B and C. D, E, F can wait, but A, B, C, these are the important people who will then get it out to more people. So he's not just a connector, a disseminator of information, but also a guider. Like, I know this is where it'll have the most impact in the shortest amount of time. So there's a wisdom in that.
Choose your side or die. Stand up or lay down. Building you up, watch right now. Hellbound, I'm heaven sent. So intelligent. I'm hellbound, but heaven sent. Intelligent. Hellbound, heaven sent. Stand up, intelligent. I am never gonna be irrelevant. If you try to get me if I tell them shit, they can never silence the truth.
Tower. It's pretty crazy. See pretty far up there.
Yeah, it was. 103rd floor, Sears Tower. Talked to some cool people up there. It was a good time.
Do you think if we took dollar bills and stacked them up all the top, then it would be it would reach $16 trillion? What do you think? You like?
Maybe 17 trillion.
17 trillion.
Yeah. How many? I didn't see that fact anywhere in the museum. Is how many dollar bills would it take to stack up?
Yeah, but they showed the Obama. They showed the Obama.
Here, Kyle, check this out. Here's D-Leg for Prez, and there's the national debt. How many Obamas would it take to stack to the top of this? 200 something.
200 something.
I bet you
Obama's
16 trillion. You can't figure it out.
Kort, did you know that the Sears Tower is 283 Barack Obama's tall?
God, if we had that many, we'd just be doomed.
So we have all this stuff. We have pocket constitutions. We have bumper stickers. We have media speaks. We have InfoWars stickers.
I have InfoWars too.
I say we go out. I live right by a college university. We're going to go out there on a day when school's in session. We're just going to walk around. We're going to hand this stuff out. We're going to get the information out there in a college town. Because in a college town, the police are going to be more friendly and people are going to be more apt to take things from you. Mm-hmm. Where else can we do this? Where else?
They might even think it's a project for the school or something.
Hey, we're headed up to the college campus here at NIU, here in DeKalb, Illinois. Hopefully
wake some people up by handing out some pocket constitutions, some stickers. We got "Don't Tread on Me" stickers. Paul Revere was here, and different stickers. Operation Paul Revere, Infowars.com, with the Constitution of the United States. Let's go do this. Cool.
Thanks, dude. You're on film. Is that okay if you're recorded?
What are you talking about, then? We're handing out these stickers, a copy of the Constitution, because we're trying to expose a lot of corruption within the banking cartels and the control of government. And these lead to like websites that.
Hey, I've seen this though on YouTube. So
oh, you have?
Yeah, Infowars. I've seen it before.
You've seen Infowars before?
Yeah, Joe Rogan's great, man. Yeah. We're just handing out stickers for a website. Banking cartels that control governments. Well, banking, like the giant corporations, giant banks that control a lot of politicians. It exposes a lot of that on these websites and copies of the Constitution. We're just going around handing these out to people.
Pocket U.S. Constitution, you like that?
I guess so. Coming out here and talking to people like you, face to face, we can share a lot of ideas, information, spread the literature. Because once you read things that can't be, it can't be, unread, it can't be unseen, and there's a lot of factual information with it. So a lot of those videos on the website that just is amazing, and has helped to wake us up. We came out here from California.
I think we have forgotten as the people that we are in charge. So I understand there's steps that you have to take, but really we need a clean slate. We need to get the people out. If there are good people in there, rehire them. But there's a lot of replacement that needs to be. I think we have skewed our idea of differences of needs and wants.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing, and especially right now with the spending, it's ridiculous. I mean, every household pretty much in this country has a budget, but our country, the people who run it can't seem to follow a budget. It's hard. It's hard. It's not easy, and it's hard for us, so it's going to be hard for them. So suck it up. What is the new thing? The commercials about cell phones. We're paying out of our taxes for the people that have cell phones.
Obama phone.
Right. So right. I see more and more people not take responsibility for themselves, and this is what gets us is in the position we're in. Is really has to do with responsibility. You don't have responsibility in your community and taking care of others plus yourselves. It's a downfall. It's spiraling out of control. When you take away the freedom of people to have guns, period, you're taking away liberty along with that. Sure as heck will want some kind of protection if somebody's in my house who's not supposed to be there. Is it going to be me or them? Well, it's going to be them. It's not going to be me or my family.
Who do you guys think would be in our movie? Who can we get online?
We might want to contact somebody from the area if we're going to be going into the lion's den that you're talking about.
Well, what's come out in the news lately? I mean, wasn't there some state representative? His name, State Representative Jim Seisho was talking about gun control, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody send him an email and see if he'll come on.
Definitely.
Yeah, and apparently he compared the gun control being enforced on people in Illinois and places like Chicago to being castrated.
Here's an analogy, folks. I ask you to think of this. You folks in Chicago want me to get castrated because your families are having too many kids. It spells out exactly what's happening here. You want us to get rid of guns. It was not out of order. I used it as an analogy, Representative.
Yeah, castration, and then order, objection. Well, they can't talk like that in state representative.
Yeah, I mean, the essence of literature.
He was making an analogy.
Yeah, the essence of an analogy is the comparison using two different things.
Castration certainly cannot be brought up in an analogy comparing gun control to birth control, Kort.
That's just simply not allowed. I mean, that's not freedom of speech or anything.
Objection.
Well, let's get this email out. Let's see if we can talk to this guy.
That'd be great. He'd get to share a lot of strong opinions about the message of liberty.
Gentleman by the name of Will Davis, very good friend of mine. He's an African-American gentleman from Chicago, and he thought I was insinuating that Chicago people were having too many children. And I explained to him after I was done with the debate, Will, this is an analogy. If you're having too many kids, I'm supposed to get castrated. Chicago has a gun problem, so Jim Sasha has to get rid of his guns. And I think by using an over-the-top analogy, it resonated with people. If you throw them a softball, it goes right over their head.
Oh, if a kid acts up in class, they're going to blame, the whole school's suddenly in trouble.
Exactly. That never would have gone anywhere. It wouldn't have gone anywhere. This went viral. I wasn't seeking that, but I think so many of us that have such strong support and belief in our Second Amendment just feel that our rights are being more and more and more taken from us. And it is really frustrating people. And if I may elaborate a little bit here, I think so often, following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the commanding officer of Japanese naval forces is credited with making a statement. Whether he made it or not is up for debate. But he's credited with making the statement. I think we have awakened a sleeping giant. And with all of the anti-gun things coming at us, those of us who are pro the Constitution are saying enough is enough. And, there are those that think this is a horrible thing to say, but Barack Obama is the greatest gun salesman of all times because so many people have gone out of their way to purchase a firearm because they feel that these liberties are being taken away.
What would you think about someone like Paul Revere today, maybe encountering this type of situation?
You mean would it occur today? Is that what you're saying?
If there was a Paul Revere today, would he be able to have the same effect he did back when the Redcoats were marching on Lexington and Concord, with all these different measures being implemented on the people?
I think absolutely would. I think the one big difference between then and now is mass media. And, the word gets out so much quicker than a guy on horseback riding through a village hollering the British are coming. Now you just punch something into your smartphone and hit send. And hundreds of people know the point you're trying to make. I think there's a lot of Paul Reveres today. There are people, I'll give you an example. Let me use this as an example. I kind of like this. Right now, this very day as we're speaking, there's a huge debate in Colorado over Second Amendment rights. Isn't that somewhat ironic? And they're going to bring in Mark Kelly, the husband of Gabby Giffords, and he's going to tell how horrible it is for people to have guns. I suspect that's what he's going to say based on the comments he's made thus far. And it is a horrible tragedy what happened to Gabby Giffords.
Right, yeah.
But conversely, Susanna Hupp, the young lady who walked in the Luby's restaurant in 1991 and left her gun at home because Texas did not have a concealed carry law, and she always had been carrying her gun, but she was newly licensed as a chiropractor. And she feared that if she got caught with that gun in her purse, there would be those, and she'd be criminally charged. So she left her gun elsewhere. She meets her parents at the Luby's restaurant. Some whack job drives a truck into the restaurant, shoots and murders 29 good people, including her parents. Her father actually lunged toward the whack job, trying to get the gun from him, and the man just turned on him and shot and killed him.
When I saw what looked like an opportunity to escape, I turned around and I grabbed my mother by the shirt and I said, come on, we've got to run, we've got to get out of here. And then my feet grew wings and I was out the back window. As soon as I got out, I realized that my mother had not followed me out. And as I learned from the police officers, she had crawled over to where my father was and cradled him until the guy got back around to her, put the gun to her head. She looked up at him, put her head down, and he pulled the trigger. My parents had just had their 47th wedding anniversary. She wasn't going anywhere. As I mentioned, I'm not really mad at the guy that did this. And I'm certainly not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in there by themselves and pull their own triggers. The guy that did it was a lunatic. That's like being mad at a rabid dog. I'm mad at my legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive.
We feel that if a lot more people were armed, a lot of law-abiding citizens were armed, that would prevent a lot of these
You're
mass
absolutely
shootings,
right, Anthony.
a lot of these crimes out there. And we were talking a little, you said about, you mentioned awakening a sleeping giant. We feel that disarming law-abiding citizens also, or I mean, we feel, in my opinion, I think that also, in a theoretical attack on the United States, could leave us a little, slightly more vulnerable if the maybe if the populace wasn't as armed.
Anthony, I wish I would have said that, because you hit it right on the head. Why do we have the Second Amendment? Is it to allow Jim Sasha to go hunting? No. It's to give me the protection against government. That is really the interpretation, and I'm not some far-out wacko on this. Many people feel this way, and that's why they want to have the right to protect themselves and protect their family. I can absolutely not get my arms around. I wish you gentlemen could help me get my arms around why we continue to try to pass gun-free zones. I'm a good, honest citizen. I'm going to not take my gun into a gun-free zone. What's a whack job going to do? I know that's where I can go and kill people, because the good, honest citizens will not have a firearm.
Yeah, the idea of criminals following the law is just ridiculous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because we're already committing crimes. So what is, I mean, if a sign on the wall, I mean, if someone's going to commit a crime, they say no smoking sign, they're still going to smoke.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't care what the sign says. It's almost encouraging them to smoke. I mean, sort of the same idea.
In the last at least 2 years, and I think I could document the last 10 years, every mass shooting, with the exception of Gabby Giffords, everyone was in a gun-free zone. The example that just jumps right out at you is Aurora, Colorado. 10 movies that night showing the Batman movie in and around Colorado. 10 of them, only one had a sign, no guns allowed or gun-free zone. Guess which place the whack job went? Nobody there will have a gun. I'll be safe. And he shot, 70 people? I don't recall how many were dead, but a huge, huge number.
What would you think would be an ideal level of firearms? Where do you see firearms in society in a perfect universe?
In a perfect universe, number one, no registration. Because every time you register guns, that is a precursor to confiscation. No registration. I can live with a FOID card. If you think Jim Sasha has a gun, I'm okay with that. But you don't know if I have 30 guns, and I'm okay with that too. I don't believe in registering weapons. And, you know, I talk to so many good, honorable people that discuss the Second Amendment with me. The biggest problem we're making with the legislation we're trying to pass is we are trying to make criminals out of good, honest people. Okay, Jim Sasha hunts deer with, actually I hunt with 2 different weapons, and I don't hunt to the degree that I used to, but one is an M1 Garand, 8-round magazine, you stick it down through the top. Now, to many, that's an assault weapon. Why do I hunt with that? Because when I was a private in the Army in 1962, it's what I carried. It's too heavy for hunting. It's a gun I like. I'm proud of it. I also have a Mini 14. But let's say that Jim Sasha has a 15-round magazine for his Mini 14. That was the standard issue for them. Am I going to be a criminal? A good, honest citizen, Jim Sasha, happens to have a magazine which is made out of nothing more than tin and a spring, and anybody with even that much skills in a shop can make a magazine with as many rounds, but we want to make Jim Sasha a criminal because he has a large capacity magazine.
I hear all this talk about how many bullets can go in a clip. I've been there. I can tell you it doesn't matter. It takes 1 second to switch out a clip. You can have 1 bullet or 100 bullets. It doesn't matter, guys. I've been there. He goes, dump, dump, just like that. That's not enough time to rush a man. I promise you.
Yeah, and you're someone who's served our country in the military.
I have.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be guilty and give up our guns just because a few whack jobs go out there and go on a tirade.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we love everything you're saying.
I'm sorry. How do you feel about the sort of talking point in the media that only the military and police should have firearms?
That is the most ludicrous statement on the planet. I assume you gentlemen know I spent 30 years of my life in law enforcement, 28 as an FBI agent. I think it is total lunacy to disarm the populace. Allow those that want the right for concealed carry to carry. It just, I cannot get my arms around. I know I use that term too much, but it just boggles me that someone thinks that only police and only military should be armed. Who controls the police and the military? Government. We are citizens. This is a democracy. It makes a mockery of our democracy. And that is, you know, in my years in law enforcement, I think of the numerous people that were killed senselessly. And typically the ones that are killed senselessly are the ones that don't have the ability to defend themselves. That is just so tragic. You know, I think as a retired FBI agent, I can legally carry. Now, obviously, I'm not going to carry one into the Capitol, but I can legally carry because it's a right I've earned due to my service. That being said, I see, here's an example for you. You're at a rally somewhere. Could there be a whack job there waiting to shoot people? Perhaps. Would there be someone probably at an NRA banquet thinking that he's going to get away with a mass shooting? I doubt it.
Yeah.
Because chances are there's more than one in there carrying. Chances are. Not making a positive statement, but
chances are.
Chances are. Exactly. And it just, I absolutely think law enforcement wants concealed carry. And I can document it. Let's use the city of Chicago. We all know that Superintendent McCarthy does not want us to have guns. We all know that. Talk to the rank and file officers, the ones on the street. Talk to their union guys. The rank and file supports concealed carry. The sergeants union supports concealed carry. I know that when you start getting up the ranks and the lieutenants and the command officers, they're a little squishy. Why are they squishy? I submit to you they're squishy because it may have something to do with promotion. You know, we want to we're upwardly bound. We wouldn't want the superintendent or the mayor thinking that perhaps, you know, Lieutenant Schwartz is in favor of concealed carry. Now, that's speculation on my part. I give you that. But when the rank and file guys, the patrolmen on the street, want concealed carry, that's a message, people. That should resonate. It really should.
I mean, shouldn't we be listening to our soldiers out in the field? Shouldn't we be listening to some of our police officers that have to deal with this on a daily basis?
I think we should, Anthony. That's exactly right. I don't understand why we don't. And again, you know, President Obama is going to continue to push his agenda. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, will continue to push his agenda. And it is so unfortunate. And I submit to you, there are legislators from the Chicago area that agree with me, but they don't want to go against their leadership. But as you folks know, this isn't about Democrats and Republicans. You take the approximate 3 million people in Chicago, and then you have the remainder of the state of approximately 10 million people. The vast majority of the 10 million want concealed carry. Chicago has been so, and I'll use the word brainwashed, into believing that they shouldn't have a gun. And yet how many of those people walk home at night in scary areas, go to their car in scary areas, and see somebody lurking in the bushes? I tell you what, they'd be a lot more comfortable if they were armed. A lot more comfortable. And it's not going to increase shootings. No way.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said. And if that guy lurking in the bush knew there was concealed carry laws,
right,
he probably would be less likely to be lurking in that bush.
Can I share another analogy?
Go ahead.
Can I share another analogy?
Does it involve castration?
No.
No pun intended, but shoot.
Here's another analogy. The city of Houston and the city of Chicago, approximately both the same size, approximately both have the same makeup of Hispanics, African Americans, and whites as we do in Chicago, approximately, within a percentage or two. Now, isn't it interesting, in Houston, Texas, which does allow concealed carry, and there are, I believe, 84 gun stores, 1,500 venues where you can purchase firearms, has a concealed carry law in the state of Texas. In Houston, last year, 207 people killed in shootings. In Chicago last year, 506 people killed in shootings where we have no concealed carry. We have no gun stores at all, no venues to purchase a gun in Chicago. Approximately 300 more people killed in Chicago than Houston. I think it's the cold weather.
As far as these so-called assault weapons, you say that they don't have any defense use. You tell that to the guy that I saw on a videotape of the LA riots, standing up on his rooftop, protecting his property and his life from an entire mob with one of these so-called assault weapons. Tell me that he didn't have a legitimate self-defense use.
You know, I don't have a problem with semi-automatic weapons. Many of our hunting weapons are semi-automatic weapons. The .270 Winchester is used regularly by the military and by civilians. But that particular firearm is on the hit list, no pun intended, as an assault weapon. But here's another thing. Get somebody to define an assault weapon. They will say, oh, I'll give you one, the AR-15. It even stands for assault rifle. No, it doesn't. It stands for Armalite, number 15. That's all it means. Nobody can define assault weapon. You know, this can be an assault microphone if I come at you and hit you in the head with it.
So you think that the gun laws are where they are without anything Obama's trying to push through and anything that anybody else is trying to push through? You think they're pretty much where they should be
I
right
absolutely do. And with one exception, we deserve and need concealed carry in Illinois, and it's way overdue.
And isn't that bill, isn't there just like 20, 30 days left before that?
There is. You're absolutely right. House Bill 997, authored by my good friend Brandon Phillips, a Democrat. We're philosophically on the same page of music. Yes, we have to comply. And you gentlemen probably already know this. In committee the other day, a spokesman for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said, well, that ruling by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals was just advisory. Are you kidding me? Advisory? The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals makes a legal ruling and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office is going to say it's advisory? Are you kidding me? And they're stating that if we reach the point and we haven't passed concealed carry, they will continue to enforce the unlawful use of weapons statute. Really, I think they're way out in left field on that one. nobody can just, nobody can have a palatable feeling about these horrific tragedies. I guess what troubles me about the mainstream media is we immediately go for the hype. We totally omit the fact that you have a mentally deranged individual, and we go to the horrible tragedy of this man having the ability to have firearms. That's where I am so frustrated that the mainstream media does not use the examples of the Miramar Federal Building explosion, the school blown up in Bath, Michigan back in 1925, where my recollection is 40 or 50 people were blown up by a guy who was literally on the school board, and he killed all those kids with dynamite. So there is always going to be deranged individuals. Our obligation is twofold. Our obligation is to make our gun laws, our penalties, meet what they really are. Somebody will say, oh, the guy will get 3 to 5. Well, he might end up with probation. If it's committed with a gun, it has to have a minimum. It can't be walked backwards to probation. That's where Chicago truly misses the boat. That's a big one right there. But the other point I would like to make is mass killings are not about guns. They are not about guns. Yes.
And how do you feel, sir, about the executive orders that President Barack Obama recently signed?
Way overstepping his bounds, in my opinion. I mean, those are obligations for the Congress, and you know, I personally know President Barack Obama. He was a state senator when I was a state representative. He had a bill in the Senate that I carried in the House. Am I on his speed dial? Probably not. Would he remember me? More than likely not. That being said, you know, I go back to his very, very liberal philosophies. When he was a member of the Illinois State Senate, he voted present 130 times. And the mass media, the mainstream media, as you folks refer to it, I'll never forget this. I will never forget them saying, oh, that's what they do in Illinois. Really? We vote present? No. The present button is the chicken button. It means I don't have the guts to vote yes on an issue. I don't have the guts to vote no on the issue, so I'll push the present button and nobody will be angry with me. That is ludicrous. I'm in my 11th year. I don't have that many present.
The essence of Paul Revere is having an individual, you know, having your individual civil liberties, and that's things like the Second Amendment. Because what the General Thomas Gage was coming to do, and what his order to do, was to take away the weapons and take away the arsenal that they had at Lexington and Concord. That was the biggest rebel arsenal that they had. So the biggest rebel arsenal we have is the information and what we have in the outlets online and the independent media, not the mainstream media, the sewer stream media that we get through the mainstream media networks that are owned by, 6-7 corporations.
I think Paul Revere was the ultimate wake-up call. There was no internet, there was no cell phone. What people had were literally what they had sometimes on their backs. They came over to this world trying to do the best they could, I should say, for their country in England. And instead, what they got was an oppressive government that slowly took advantage of the fact that these people just came all the way across an ocean to make England better. And I think Paul Revere was the wake-up call, the siren that said, hey, look, this is ridiculous. And now if you look at what we're doing in our country today and how our country and our government is treating us and even other people in the world, such as Libya, it's beyond the pale. It's absolutely unreasonable. And I think it's time, it's a good name for the contest. I think it's time that we are Paul Revere's and sort of wake up and do something, because we are becoming an extremely oppressive regime here in this country.
Paul Revere was the connector. he was the guy that knew all the important people that were good at social networking, actually, back then, before Facebook. Okay, but we have those means now as resources for us to spread the message, and kind of it can be disheartening, but we can't be discouraged. We have to keep getting the message out there.
Anybody sitting there with a basic internet connection saying, I know more than these guys, I can do as well as Alex Jones, I can talk as well as those guys, well, you can. So go do that. Go out there, get out there, start a WordPress website, start a basic Wix website, or however you want to get your name out there. Go out there on Blog Talk Radio. Get your name out there, start writing articles, start researching things. Don't just sit around and say that you're smarter than these people that you're listening to, because if that's true, they'd be listening to you, and they very well can be.